Welcome to a special edition of Truck Tech. I'm Thomas Wasson. We're at Manifest, and I'm on top of a truck. It doesn't get any better than this. I know I've recorded in booths with fuzzy floors and other places, but this one is the best, courtesy of the folks at Torc Robotics. And that's who we're going to be talking to today, especially about all the news and movements in the autonomous space. One of the big conversation pieces has been AI at this event, but one of the things I really like is getting to talk to people who are doing AI in the physical world. Let's begin. Andrew, tell us your name, about yourself, what you do.
Absolutely. Andrew Culhane, Chief Commercial Officer at Torc. That sounds like a fancy title. It actually is the coolest thing at Torc in my mind. I get to work very closely with our commercial partners, our industry partners, and really figure out how to take this amazing technology, the AI in the physical world, as you said, and figure out how to get it on the road and really make a difference for the people in the freight industry.
And I'm Lawrence Bader, retired director from United Parcel Service, where I had responsibility for their global fleet systems. And now that I'm retired, I'm now able to come out into the industry and help fleets adopt advanced transportation technologies, help advance the movement and adoption of autonomous vehicles, and just move this industry forward.
Yeah, so we're going to take a two-pronged approach. Let's get everyone caught up first. Torc has recently been making moves. We have new locations, new strategies, and so tell us a little bit about that as we're entering 2025 and get us caught up.
Yeah, so probably the two biggest moves out there, and really it stemmed from a lot of progress in last year, which is really making that big pivot to that productization phase. So really getting production intent vehicles out on the road. That means everything's awarded, so we actually have real, true product trucks out there, not prototypes, right? So that means all the hardware, all the compute, all the chassis is done, being built and ready to scale. So that really triggered us to make some big moves. The first was really launching that Dallas-Fort Worth hub. We're getting that thing stood up right now, and that's really to be that sandbox to prove out all the benefits of autonomous trucking. So we're not a trucking company. There are world-class leaders in that. We don't want to be one of those. We want to empower them to do their job better and give them that tool with an autonomous truck. But we have a job to help prove out what does that look like from maintenance, from inspections, launch, recovery, all those other aspects. So that's the DFW side, and you'll see more of that coming up. The other big pivot is launching our engineering center up in the Ann Arbor area, really tapping into some of that US talent, that Ann Arbor, Michigan-based automotive talent and AI talent, and that's going extremely well, with a shout out that we have a hiring event going on up there right now.
Yeah, I get some Michigan alums and Michigan State. There's a lot of good logistics talent. And Lawrence, one of the things that you get to work on now is helping, as Torc is making these innovations and getting really close to the start line, the launch date, how are shippers, how are others in the supply chain? What are some of these early conversations you're having and hearing about how we're going to start where the rubber's going to meet the road, basically?
Right. So it's extremely important for your fleets today, your shippers today, to really begin to understand the technology. This technology is coming, and it's going to transform this industry. And so the companies who can really get in and partner up with companies like Torc understand how is it going to fit into their current ecosystem today. How can we shape and mold a little bit of tomorrow's ecosystem? Because ultimately, it's going to transform their business. And right now is the time to learn and to get engaged in that.
And follow up as well, was one of the big things that kind of stood out. You've had a long career in the space and the supply chain. This is my first event here, so I'm hearing a lot of technology, a lot of AI buzzwords, but was there any specific thing for you where we're seeing this like aha moment and now it's like, I need to start having these conversations, it's getting real?
Well, I mean, AI has been around for a long time, and unfortunately the industry is really learning how to spell AI now, but with a company like Torc, being able to put AI to the physical AI in place and leverage that technology data to really accelerate the development of the platform. When we're able to, be able to predict the behaviors of the oncoming vehicles, of the pedestrians on the side of the road, being able to use that technology to predict the equipment health. When can I understand a component failure? When is that tire going to delaminate? I can use AI data today to predict that. If I'm going down the highway for 36 hours at a time, something mechanically might happen, right? But if I can sensor up the trailers, sensor up the tractors as they have done, and be able to use predictive analytics, I should be able to safely pull off to the side of the road or get to my end destination with full knowledge of where I am.
That's one of my favorite ones, Andrew. I want to ask you as well, one of my favorite conversations is that the AI is also preemptively, I'm going to route myself in somewhere I'm not feeling too well. It's some of the cool things I'm hearing as well. Is that, especially with the Dallas-Fort Worth location, having that new testing background, are those some of the questions now that you're looking to answer? Because it's not just point A to point B, but it's also anyone who's been in trucking before. Anything can happen.
Anything can happen. When we think about that application of AI, that physical AI, it really is building out that full ecosystem and process for operating autonomous trucks, right? As we're standing on top of a trailer here and we have the truck over here, the truck is really important, but it is one part of unlocking that value, right? And so what Dallas is all about, when you think about all those things that could go on going down the road, one, it's about proving it out in the real world. It's also about helping to make sure that all of our simulation capabilities, all of our validation is covering the world that we expect, right? And that's an area we use things like generative AI to model out and showcase more and more scenarios. As I say, we want to basically train our truck with the knowledge of every million-mile truck driver out there on the road, right? We want to bring all that data in, we want to simulate that. And so yes, it's the good days, it's everything going perfectly right, but it's also being able to simulate and then test in the real world all the other crazy stuff that can happen going down the highway.
And Andrew, you're able to really create scenarios that we would never be able to see on the highway.
Yeah. Or once in a trillion miles, right? And we can look at those things and say, we've seen something sort of like this, but we know these things can happen. How could you train your driver with all of that knowledge and data and really bring that to building that safest, most reliable truck driver out there?
And you can do that every day.
Every single day.
Every day.
That's what's fascinating, because it does feel like these models have reached a kind of critical mass where all this generative input, it's digested, it's optimized. One of the things that I'm thinking about as well, let's talk about early deployment. It's like a Wright Brothers moment when we're seeing people showcasing it. I want to see what happens with the first airlines. And so in the autonomous trucking space, what are these early things going to look like? Is it going to be a customer buying like a Torc truck? Are you going to partner up and test? Or like for folks who are unfamiliar with the next steps?
Yeah, from our side, it's a long journey, right? And we think about it in terms of building trust, right? And building that trust first, through ourselves, through Daimler Truck North America, our partner, building these trucks, and through the shippers and carriers. We want to build that trust from day one, and we started that years ago. So we've had pilots that are announced with great folks like Schneider and CR England. We have more that we do behind the scenes, and those aren't about the press release. Those are all about what are we learning together to put us in a position to launch that first truck with a driver out in that 2027 timeframe. And there's a ton of work that goes into that, right? And Lawrence knows from his time at UPS, it's everything from the truck, it's to the TMS integration, it's tying out to maintenance tools, it's everything it takes to actually bring this to market, not just the truck. It's about the whole system.
And the reality is, the business models out there are far different. Your dedicated trucks from the shipper to the consignee is completely different than the LTL market or the parcel market. And then you got the whole private truck fleet and how they're running business. So that's why it's extremely important for the fleets and the shippers to really engage now to help mold and define that.
And I think the key point is we're here for the conversation, right? We don't pretend to be experts on all things freight, right? We're not experts on building trucks. That's why we have Daimler Truck, right? We want to make sure we're having those conversations, and that's whether it's with the carriers, the shippers, the private fleets, or even the regulatory side, to make sure we're open for those conversations.
And integration into the back-end TMS systems that you may see on the floor here today, or the custom ones that may be more of your mega or your large-size fleets. And then back to the regulatory side of this aspect, there's going to be a lot of data coming off these vehicles, and being able to pipe and leverage that data to help shape the way government agencies can put that data to use to ensure safety across the fleets today.
I like the safety aspect. One of the big pushes from AV makers has been we are safer. When you look at agencies like the FMCSA under the DOT, it does feel as though companies that have millions of miles on the road with cameras that are collecting this data, there's another opportunity there as being a partner, keeping roads safe as well as.
Absolutely, and I want to clarify one thing, right? Professional truck drivers are fantastic, right? And a well-rested, attentive driver is an amazing driver. And so we don't want to compare ourselves and say that drivers are bad, right? Drivers are fantastic. They're amazing professionals in this industry. What we want to do is build a system that mimics them on their absolute best day, right?
Every day.
As I say, it's we want our truck to drive like, they've had their best night of sleep, best cup of coffee, and their team won the Super Bowl, right? We want them to come, we want our driver to come out that way. And that's why we actually build and train the models the way we do.
Yeah, and looking at final as we're wrapping things up as well, one of the cool things I'm thinking about is testing and deployment. Big questions with shippers as well. It used to be autonomous truck ports. Now it turns out I was late to the party. We were doing point to point. We want to navigate in the warehouse. We got to navigate on our property. Are those some of the big questions looking into 2025 and looking ahead? Is that some of the stuff y'all are excited about, or is it really just kind of just showcasing in these early conversations? What are some of the things people should have on their radar looking ahead? We'll start with Andrew.
Yeah, I think there's two parts, right? From our side, we're still very much focused on that hub-to-hub model, but not your mega ports, right? Being able to get from any fixed point to any fixed point where freight has some level of concentration. And so you'll continue to see that drive forward, and again, advancing that technology as we're out here at Manifest, right? It's what are those other technologies that are gonna unlock more efficiency, right? This is an industry that is all about making best use of those assets, the most efficient operations, right? And unlocking the most value. And to do that, it takes more than just a truck, right? And that's where that
It's the
broader
entire
ecosystem.
ecosystem. Yeah, absolutely.
And then finally, folks will learn more as well. Get in touch, keep abreast of what Torc is doing. Best way to find out, Andrew.
All the socials, LinkedIn, any other social on our website. We have lots of blog posts, lots of great content out there. And it's a really great way to learn not only what we're doing, but really kind of state of the industry and how we're moving things forward.
And Lawrence, folks want to get in touch with you as well, what you're working on?
Well, yeah, so I'm out on LinkedIn, but I'm basically freelance in the industry here, and I have a lot of relationships with a lot of fleets and a lot of industry solution providers, and I'm here to help stitch the industry together.
Well, gentlemen, thanks so much for your time. Thank you for letting me be on top of your truck. We'll definitely be keeping in touch as well. That's a wrap for this segment, but don't worry, folks. I got a lot more great stuff coming up. We're getting around here at Manifest. See you soon. Thank you. Hey everyone, it's Thomas Wasson with FreightWaves. We're here from Manifest. A lot of stuff going on. Super excited to be joined with David Bell with Cloneops.ai. David, tell us a little bit about yourself and what Cloneops does.
Yeah, Cloneops is the latest hype of voice agents, LLM AI model. So doing inbound, outbound calls, voice agents for all kinds of use cases.
So talk about some of the use cases. Tell us the story real quick. What was kind of the inspiration behind developing it? Because there's a lot of stuff, especially in workflow, that extremely tedious.
Coming from my background at being, in the nearshore business with my former company, Lean Solutions, seeing all the workflows and having over 10,000 employees, seeing what AI can do to help those employees get better, more productive, and more accurate, and provide more value to the clients is, to them making more productive is what it's supposed to do. If it allow people to make allow people to multitask and have multiple phone conversations going on at one time, while they can monitor them and then pick up the ones that need actual human interaction.
So kind of like, talk about capabilities, vetting. I know inbound calls is a real big hassle. You don't know if it's good or not. Trying to make outbound calls. Is that some of the stuff that y'all are focusing on? What's kind of like the lowest hanging fruit as you're developing this?
Yeah, the lowest hanging fruit is the inbound calls. Most of the high volume calls, 35% goes unanswered or left on hold. And so we're managing that, kind of replacing the old auto attendant, dial 1 for dispatch, dial 2 for accounting, to having a virtual AI receptionist answer the call, be able to talk to somebody, answer questions, be interactive, and then get them to where they really need to go without having to dial 0 5 times and hit representative, and just having more of an interactive call tree, so to speak.
And then outside of also looking into call, can I book freight yet? Is that one of the things we can do?
Yeah, you can call in on a load posted and say, I'm calling about a load posted, I have this load number, what's the details, give the details, it'll tell you the rate, or negotiate the rate. And as that call's taking place, it transcribes from voice to text on the carrier rep's dashboard, showing all the calls going on. And as a call, we create a call score. The worse the call is going, the higher the score. So the higher the score is queued to the top of the page, so you can see, and you can click on them and take them over, and you can intervene in the call before you lose it, or if somebody gets frustrated or somebody gets lost in a transfer. You can watch the call so you know what's going on. So when you pick it up, you're already in the conversation versus having to get a warm transfer to give you an update of what the call was about.
Yeah.
So there's nothing worse than getting a transfer and trying to figure out what the call's about and starting it all over again. So.
I really like that. The sentiment analysis, real time on the call. Some drivers, some brokers, some customers.
Yeah.
You tell they're having a bad day, and then if I'm the rep and I'm using the assistant, then it's like, Thomas, this one needs to go first.
Yeah. Yeah, and it prioritizes also to our voice technology, voice ID technology, identify who's on the call when they call, and be able to run filters filters on your dashboard to prioritize those calls too. Because listen, in business you want to make sure your customer's freight's taken care of at all costs, and that's the biggest priority. And that's for the benefit of the trucker, for you, because if your customer's happy, everybody gets the business and everybody wins.
And when we're looking at some of the savings, I'm assuming for that 35% that's going unanswered, and that's money basically being left on the table.
Yeah, and then collecting the data from those 35% of people that are on hold. Maybe you just need to know who it is, who called, what they were calling about, and you can tell them someone to get back to them where they don't need to stay on hold, and it's not that critical. and maybe they're just calling to see, hey, I'm checking to see what loads you got next week or this week, or just idle calls, and it allows them to get information without having to sit on hold, wait for actual real person to have that conversation.
We got inbound, kind of reactive and prioritization. What about outbound and proactive? Is that something that Cloneops is looking as well?
Yeah, we have that on our dashboard. We have a scheduler. You can go in and schedule calls to happen throughout the day, as many calls you want at a time. And you basically go in, you schedule your calls. The AI launches the calls, and you can watch the calls being made and what's going on with them. And again, take them over if needed, and and set the AI agent up to do all the work at 70-80% of the way, and then if the human needs to jump in and get it done, they can jump in and get it done, and maybe the AI completes it and the human still just looks at it, audit it, make sure it's right, and then the load gets booked, they'll send the email, it'll integrate with the TMS and give updates. It'll track a driver if a driver's not responding to the traditional tracking methods and you want to make a call. it'll call them up and say, hey, we just sent you a link, please check your phone, click the link so we know where you're at. Or if you can't click the link, you don't want to, just give us an update where you're at, are you on time?
Yeah. I'm looking at one thing I really like, especially in the driver phase, when you're collecting data with AI. So you can have a trucker sounding assistant now, basically. So you get the syntax right. They custom built, kind of like a custom built monitor.
Yeah, and you could give it an attitude too. It can have the right attitude. It could be happy, go lucky. It could be serious, if you're talking about something serious to a driver, serious. And the best thing about it too is when it calls a driver can speak a different language, speak 16 different languages, and it could switch languages mid form. So you're speaking in English, and all of a sudden the driver, it can detect a dialect, or the driver can say something in different language and automatically switch and talk in that language, and it's pretty cool.
So this opens up a lot of doors and use cases. Yeah. It's like, what if I have a Canadian carrier who's hiding a French Quebecy and they're out of Alberta, and those kind of little things. So it opens a lot of doors with the data. Kind of looking ahead as well. What are you most excited about? AI has been a buzzword at this conference as well. Tell us a bit about what's standing out to you, and what are y'all working on?
No, this was a great opportunity to see this whole conference is all about technology, and AI is everywhere and technology is everywhere. So it's it's just a great opportunity to see what's out there, who's doing what, and who the players are. And I think it's giant this year compared to all the other years. So congratulations to Manifest for what they're putting on here. But we had a lot of opportunity to announce some partnerships that we're doing and some collaborations, and and meet a lot of people. I have running right from here to go meet a big potential client, and I've done a bunch of these all day, so it's been pretty busy. My feet are killing me.
No, same here. Recent collaborations and partnerships, any you care to announce as well? Give us a heads up on?
Yeah, no, Alfonso from Lean did his presentation today, announced all the partnerships with the core AI providers and workflow, and how they're going to roll it out to their clients and offer the solutions. And we're proud to be the partner with them on the voice side, where our takeover technology they're going to deploy and use. And I think takeover technology is the big differentiator.
Yeah, because it felt like a lot of stuff was just automated. Press 1 for this, or it doesn't have the escalation and the recognition.
And just the transfer too, like to transfer from an AI agent to take a call, get information, and transfer to a human, pick the call up to do it again. I think that's where our differentiating from the competition is you can get the call right there. You don't have to wait for it to transfer. And I think that's the difference. You're watching all of this workflow in real time, and you could jump in and tackle where you need to in real time. And so that's the difference with ours, and why we think that we're gonna win the day.
Well, the bilingual aspect as well. A lot of nearshoring, we got a lot of trends. We got a lot of different countries involved. You can switch it on the fly. So if they're trying to jip me out of something, and I know that most AIs don't understand German.
Yeah. Well, also too, even a lot of the track and trace is coming from nearshore offices like Lean. So we'll make a track and trace when we do the track and trace agent. We make them sound, Colombian. So these drivers are used to talking to Colombian to getting the call. So we kind of make it so it's familiar. And the funny thing is the Spanish AI agent sounds so good. English is such a tough language, so English you could tell a little bit, but Spanish just rolls so good. It's almost impossible, as close to that to not be able to tell whether it's a real person or AI.
So essentially have your own customized AI assistant that you're used to talking to, and that opens a lot of doors.
Well, it's going to allow you to just deploy into a lot of stuff to, while you watch it go on and handle stuff that's really important. Get rid of the mundane things you got to do every day and the check things you got to do, and, you let your AI assistant handle that stuff. And you're even taking calls, like you'll get a call, you'll have another call, like it goes right to voicemail. Imagine now you get rid of voicemail, there's no more voicemail. Your AI agent answers your call overflow, talks to him, hey, Dave, Dave's on the call, Thomas is on the call, what you need, I got you, tell me what you need. Oh, I'm checking to see on this, okay, and he can actually help him. And then you can see him helping them while you're on your call instead of seeing 4 calls holding for you and people screaming, call on hold, call, and it rings back, they ring it again, call on hold. So, we're gonna put this AI agent in to handle all that overflow, all that excess stuff you're doing, and work with you to make you, just super productive.
So it's literally, I'm calling in, I'm running late. Would you like me to reschedule? Please
Correct.
reschedule. Reschedules.
Correct, yeah. It'll send out the email to reschedule, like it's workflow, AI workflow, and it's just cool, and it's just revolutionizing phone operations and inbound, outbound phone operations, and we have this term, we're like 24-hour phone operations always turned on.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool, and I think that's going to be the differentiator. People aren't going to have to leave voice messages and do that anymore. And it's like when I get a voice message on my phone, it goes to text. I just read the text. I don't listen to the message.
You wait for the transcript.
Yeah, I go look and I read it because I can read them. And when people send voice messages, I hate that because it takes they'll send me a 5-minute voice message, 4-minute voice message on this, and I can read it in 30 seconds. So like it's
And it could have just been handled anyway.
Yeah.
So now the AI is like,
and
message, no reschedule.
right, and then it'll grade the call too and tell you if it was success. If at the end of the call it can tell if it's successful or not. So it's really cool stuff, and it's the beginning stages of it. It's going to get infinitely better, and our goal is to stay ahead of it and just keep innovating. And that's I think what we're doing. We got a really good team and happy about how it's going.
Well, David, really appreciate your time. Folks want to learn more about Cloneops.ai, get in touch. What's the best way to find out?
Info at Cloneops.ai. Check us out on LinkedIn, Cloneops. If our market is doing a good job, you should see us everywhere.
We're doing our part as well. David, thanks so much. That's a wrap for this interview.
Appreciate FreightWaves. Greg Fuller, what's up? Appreciate you guys very much, and you guys are great.
We're giving the call out to the shout outs. We'll catch y'all soon.